Hey everybody, young Grasshopper here. Welcome to the Cliffside Bunker in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This is episode 3 of my mini-series talking all about how I built my accidentalized custom game table. This is the last part. I'm calling this The End, and it is the last of my 3-part mini-series. We're going to get into the details of the table here in a moment, but I just want to give you a little flyby tour of my new bunker. Obviously, it's been a while since my first video, and I've gotten situated a lot more, gotten settled in a lot more since that first clip from the first video in the series. I got some poker on the TV. I love watching Texas Hold'em. So I got some shirts there. I got the sectional blocking that closet. I got lots of shelving. Of course, I'm not very organized right now. I've been unpacking, but still lots to do. For example, to put up frames on these walls. I got lots of frames. I still haven't decided what I'm going to put in those frames, but they could be pictures of friends in the community. They could be pictures of, you know, my favorite artwork online. Definitely a couple pictures of my old buddy Carlito, the can opener. So I'm looking forward to decorating, putting up all those pictures. Got a little Christmas tree there. Of course, we're in December. So I wanted to show the depth of the room because we have a large 8-foot table here and a large sectional sofa. So we're kind of limited. That's fine. I've got ideas. So this is where I'm going to place my table when I'm not using it. So against the wall, against the fireplace, out of the way. You know, I've got lots of shelf space under there, but lots of room to walk through here and get to my sofa, watch a little TV when I'm not using the game table. Now, I want to stop the clip, and I'm going to now put the table in the center as if we're getting ready for a game. And I'm going to move a few things over here as well. And you'll see just the difference between getting game ready and when it's just put aside while I'm not using it. Okay, be right back. All right, we've got the table in the center of the room now. It's now ready for friends to come over to sit around the table. It's ready for us to set it up. It's ready for gameplay. And I just want to show you the depth of the room now that we have moved the table out into the middle. So I took that L-shaped sectional piece and I turned it and I pushed the shelf that was against this wall, pushed it down towards the end of the room. So all this stuff is now out of the way for gameplay. I want to show you the space for walking around. It's important to me that the game table allows players to walk around, be as mobile as possible. There's different types of tables out there. I call mine a walk around. Some you just sit in a big office chair and you stay put and everything that you have is right where you need it. So the table is out in the center, ready to get set up, ready for gameplay. We always like to have some room here at the ends because our players like to just be in front of the dice tray so that they can roll, square up, roll, instead of just chucking them from the sides like this. So we've got some good space for at least one individual to stand in front of each dice tray. Again here, now there's only room for one individual, but it is a small room and I'm using it the best I can, and I think it's going to be just fine. So you can tell by my last video clips and in this one that the lighting is pretty bad. Down here at this end of the room, there's one light fixture above with a cool white light. Down here, there's one fixture as well. Now, in the past, it had a cool white light, but it had since changed it to a tungsten bulb for for that warm, cozy feeling down at this end. However, this is still not enough, even with the lamp on. Still not enough to light up the table. You can see that I've got a cord going up the wall there, and I have a fluorescent here that I've hung now. It's a little bit of a MacGyver. You may be too young for that, but I MacGyvered my light fixture. So let's see what the table looks like when I hit this and turn it on. Right. So nice and bright. And I'm always advocating for good lighting. Not just for videos on YouTube, but for gameplay. And I got a couple of clip lights that are going to illuminate that end of the table as well. I had to put the light like so it's not directly over the table, unfortunately, but we're gonna make do. As the bunker starts to form and build itself, I'll shoot a video in the future just of you know, how I have come along decorating and everything. That could be quite a ways down the road. For now, though, I've got a table that we can game on, and this is a video series about the table, and let's get going on the details. So guys, you remember in my last video, part 2, I talked about only having 4 legs. Well, after that video I changed my mind and I went ahead with the other 2 legs. I'm happy I did, although unfortunately the flooring here is very uneven, wildly uneven. And you can see how I've got it propped up on some of those felt sliders, and there's a gap under this one, and there's less felt sliders under this one. So I put those braces across. Overall, I'm happy with the base, and I will figure out a solution when it comes to getting it all connected, all grounded to the floor. But the only beef I would say I had is I should have probably taken these and brought them further to the edge. So I've got a piece right there, and these bolts went through this piece and this piece. So I recommend that if you're going to go with that type of structure. But I should have gotten a 6-foot piece instead of a 5-foot piece. That would have brought these legs closer to the edge. But that's not really a huge deal. It just looks a little bit odd is all, when they're not spread out. Now, I must admit that I'm extremely grateful to have a table. Not only to have my friends over to play games, I could have done that anyway on a regular table, but I'm very, very excited to get going on my videos again, to reconnect with my YouTube community. And I gotta admit that I am extremely satisfied with my table going forward for that purpose, making videos, tutorials, strategy, house rules, all of that. And of course we're talking about Axe & Allies 1940 Global. Now, obviously there are many games that I could talk about on this channel, but for the majority of my content, you can expect Axe & Allies 1940 Global 2nd edition. Back to the table. Again, a lot of people have been asking me about these trays. I had an acquaintance who was a woodworker. He was retired. He had woodworking equipment in his garage. I showed him what it is that I wanted. He said, no problem, I can make that for you. And I paid him to make all these trays for me. So I don't know him well anymore. I'm sure that he would make them for somebody, but I wouldn't want to have to reconnect with him just to satisfy somebody's request to have trays like mine. My advice is just to go out there, find somebody who does work well with wood, and see if this is something that he can do for you. Now, I got my trays custom sized exactly to the anniversary edition tray. So if you were to take an anniversary edition tray lid, it would fit snug and perfectly over one of these, a 1, 2, 3 compartment. Now this is an abacus. If you've seen past videos in my channel, you know that I use these quite a bit. This is great for counting casualties during battles. It's a thing that I added and I love. But I found out later that all my members just naturally, instinctively use them. It's not one of these things where it's like, oh, I'm not going to use that. It's just such a useful tool. It's just natural that people use the abacus to count casualties, especially in large battles. I'm using the old abacuses from my old table. Now, I have to make a confession. So that confession is that I'm not entirely in love with my table. I built it with my own 2 hands, and I had a plan, and I had issues along the way that I had to live with, but there were other things as well. Let me explain. So, do you remember the sticky? These are a little snug. Do you remember the sticky vinyl tile that I pasted onto here? Like, it comes with a sticky back. I stuck it right on there and they were sticking. Well, I flipped the table, and because it was not pinching enough to stay down, because the sticky was not sticky enough to stay down, when me and my buddy flipped the table so I could work on the back, I didn't notice that many of these tiles came loose and fell. One of them fell backwards right here. So it fell backwards. The sticky part stuck to my bank, and I worked away on the legs, and it pretty much fused to the stain. And when I flipped it back up and I saw what had happened, there was another one that stuck on that bank over there. It was fused to it. I didn't know how to take it off without damaging the bank, and I used a putty knife to slowly try and peel it off, but it was so fused to the bank, I ended up gouging the stain. What luck. So it was gouged so much, I sanded it quickly, as quick as I could, and I restained it. Now, it doesn't look like there's an issue. It doesn't look like anything. But if you run your hand across it, you will feel the inconsistencies. It's not a beautiful, smooth bank anymore. That's unfortunate. You know, I put a lot of pride in these banks looking great. Not only looking great, but feeling great. So here's where the other one fell, and it left some stickiness, and I sanded it and restained it, but there's some blemishes. Now, all this stuff may seem really trivial to you. Come on, Grasshopper, what are you talking about? It's a beautiful table, you know, don't let that stuff bother you. And, you know, I agree up to a certain point, but, you know, I put so much work into this, and I really want it to be beautiful. I go to work sometimes thinking about these imperfections. Here's another imperfection. I wanted a different stain color. So You out there that are used to working with wood, I'm thinking of Sire Blood, and you know, stains and everything else, people that work around wood and are good at it. I'm not good at it. I don't know about it. I know that if I drill one piece of wood into another, it'll stay. That's about all I know about it. But this pine, this knotted pine, was so light colored that it didn't take very well to the stain. Now, don't get me wrong, this is beautiful. This looks beautiful, right? But it's orangey. It's kind of orangey, yellowish. I mean, I think of tables out there like the Chaplain, who's got beautiful dark color stain. I think it was the Chaplain's table I was looking at. But again, this is something that I'm nitpicking, right? It doesn't feel like the Omaha Beach that I envisioned. It feels like a different table. That being said, I'm going to be making some modifications. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to just stop my life and take care of this. I have a beautiful game table. I have friends coming over tomorrow even. I'm going to get into videos, other content that I've been waiting on for a long time. I'm not going to spend my whole winter fixing a table just because of my OCD. It's a beautiful table. And I bet you when I get done modifying the issues so that they sit well in my mind, you probably won't even notice what I've done. But for example, I would say forget this whole bracket idea, framing with the brackets. I had to go with extra levels just to come over this, and what happened is it never did get flush because now chips can now fall down in here because of this bracket. What I would do is I would just not bracket the frames. I would measure from the edge into the table, and if that is, let's say, 9 inches, okay, then get under the table, mark 9 inches, and just drill from the bottom up and then fasten it from there. Okay, now I did that with this piece and this piece and even this piece. But anyway, a modification I do in the future is I'll fix this gap, but not important right now. So I'm very happy. I'm just not in love with it. And I'll tell you why I need to be in love with it. I envisioned a table that I was going to have dog tags embroidered. I'll show you here. This is a dog tag from a good friend of mine, Pink Panzer, who got this for me. It says Young Grasshopper on it. I was going to get something like that and engrave the names of all my supporters in the past that have contributed to me financially. Mostly comes to mind my patrons from my Patreon page that I had over a year ago. I'll never forget those people that helped me financially. I have since taken down my Patreon page back in March when the first wave hit and there were lockdowns. But I always wanted and hadn't envisioned honoring all the people that have supported me in that way here on my table with dog tags engraved with their names. Now that I will do. I am 100% committed to doing that, and I can't wait. But I want to fix the imperfections first. So my big reveal of just showing all the names of the people that were past patrons or people that supported me financially in the past in some other way, we're going to be honored on this table, and they will be once I finish fixing and modifying the imperfections. So I'm going with my old abacuses now. I do have plans to make this better. I found a bead shop that's got these different beads. I want to swap them up, but I'm using my old one for now. It was a quick little screw in there, little screw in there. So I'm going to replace that. Obviously, that's a small detail. Now, when it comes to the trays getting lifted and leveled up higher, I'm not going with that vinyl, that cheap vinyl tile anymore. What I'm gonna do is I've got these here. I'm going to cut these to size. This is a nice heavy floor plank. It's got a nice cushion bottom. I'm going to cut that to size, and that will slide right in, and it'll make for that beautiful surface. This is not a beautiful surface. So I will cut that plank to size. I'll lay it down. It'll stop about here, and then a second one will start, finish up, and it'll be fluid. And I don't need to lay it down, screw it down. I don't need to glue it down or anything. I'll just lay flat, and these trays will lay on top of it. Obviously, I'll check to make sure it's not too high. I don't want the trays to come up over the bank like this. Just want it to be nice and flush like that. If it proves to be too thick, I will find something else very similar to like these tiles, these vinyl tiles on my floor, right? So I'm all ready to set up the table for a game. I'm having some friends over tomorrow, and I hope that this little 3-part series has proven to be educational one way or another. I mean, I would not suggest doing every step that I've done. Like I said, there were some things that I would have done differently. For example, when screwing into here, I had that extra piece, but that extra piece was not underneath this one. And that is why we have this little sunken part right here, because this is soft, whereas this is hard. So this sunk a bit. Again, little details, but you know, that's the type of pride that I put into my work when building my custom game table. And like I said, as I do the modifications to correct these things, you're hardly going to notice throughout the videos. This might be something that I do in the summer, right? Right now, getting right back into content for my channel. But when I do finish the table and I have all those dog tags engraved, I'm going to shoot another video. It's going to be more about the whole bunker, including the table. So hopefully I'll have lots of framed pictures up. I'll have lots of memorabilia to show you. The place will be more decorated, and all these things that I'm talking about will be tweaked and fixed, and I will do a video proudly showcasing not only my table but my bunker room. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you taking this journey with me. You know, I'm very proud of my table. Don't want to give you the wrong impression. I worked hard, and you know what? I get it that a lot of you people watching right now would, you know, would be so happy to have something like this. It must be hard for you to hear somebody nitpick, but I just want to be honest with you guys and how I feel about it. The next time I shoot a video showcasing the bunker and the table, and when I say I love my table, you guys are going to believe me when I say that. If I'm honest now about how I appreciate and I like my table a lot, but I don't love it, when I do come back and say, I really love my table, I'm proud of it, you're going to know that I'm telling you the truth. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to think of content, shoot videos, get reconnected with my YouTube subscribers and my YouTube community. It's been a long time. It's been a stressful time, of course. 2020, I was in an apartment I didn't like. I fixed that. My dog passed away, my best friend. That was tough. And now we're rolling into Christmas, and hopefully there's better times ahead, better things to speak of, and friendships to reconnect again. I mean, I'm only been playing with a small fraction of my gaming group. There's so many people that are in the Toronto area that I've gamed with in the past that I have not physically seen or been face to face or had the pleasure of chucking dice with for a long time. And I'm sure that's the case with you guys too. So let's hope and pray for that. All right, cheers guys. Thanks a lot for joining me on this mini series. Look out for the next videos all about Axes and Allies. Cheers, take care, may all your rolls be ones.